All right.
Namaste, Sairam, and Shalom, everyone. I'm Connie Shaw, and this is my wonderful husband, Jim Wright. Welcome to Quantum Gazing today. Well, this is March the 5th, Saturday, 2022, and this is certainly not a boring lifetime, is it? Not that we need drama and excitement for interest. Not at all. Today's program, which is called Renewal, will feature some very practical and useful tools and some thrilling stories and how-tos concerning resurrection and how to carefully treat a resurrected person after they've been returned to the body. We'll also do 2 role plays, one about how to do a resurrection with some new skills that we've just learned, and also we'll recommend some new books. This program is packed with wonderful things due to His grace, but first let's start with a prayer, since the Russia-Ukraine situation has just started and there are upheavals everywhere on the planet right now. Now, as you know, prayer is talking to God intimately. It's not a robot-like telemarketing sales call to God to beg for the latest list of desires. And meditation is listening to God. Also, as you know, sometimes my prayers are long, sometimes they're short, sometimes they're decrees, and sometimes they're just extremely casual, talking to the Lord. So now we'll start with our prayer. Beloved Lord, and beloved ascended masters and saints, and also the angelic host, we thank you for coming today to gazing and for the tremendous help that you've been giving humanity, especially in the past 2 years of planetary sorrow and suffering. Dearest Lord, please respond to our request and provide every person watching to receive a blessing or a healing for themselves or loved ones they can recognize, that is, the healings and blessings that they can recognize as your mercy and grace. And also, Lord and Masters of Light, please provide renewed calmness, insight, strength, and courage to all of the gazing attendees and to Jim and me as well. We ask that you galvanize all of us to spring into action to help those around us who need our encouragement, compassion, love, and service. Actually, we're praying for all people on the planet now, Lord, and all creatures, all birds, all animals, all species. And since most people are extremely worried, if not terrified, we ask this of you with special intensity for them. You've said in the past that, quote, "In the last days I will shorten the days of turmoil for the sake of the very elect," end quote. If this is a good time, Lord, to shorten the chaos, Lord, we'd really appreciate it. We know that you know our karma and you know what's best, but if you're open to giving all of us some relief very soon, we'd be endlessly grateful. We would never try to tell you how or when to do your job, so if we still have some weeks or months to go in this current chaotic situation, please help all of us to remember that on the highest level, everything's unfolding as it should, and that this Earth training school isn't real, and to have more patience as long as we think that it is. By the way, Lord, I'm very sorry that I yelled so much this week, and I fell off the wagon of equanimity several times. I think I'm on course again, but I'm very sorry. And we thank you in advance, beloved Lord, pardon me, and Masters of Light and the angelic realm for any considerations, blessings, and healings that you decide to provide for all of us today. Amen. Brothers and sisters everywhere, no matter what your language, culture, religion, or creed, please know how very, very sorry Jim and I are that you've had to go through so much difficulty and so many tests the past few years, and the past few weeks especially. We are brothers and sisters in the vast family of humanity, under the fatherhood and motherhood of God. Let us resolve to intensify our faith, to deepen our spiritual practices, and to stay connected to God within us from hour to hour. And now we have a new chart. Man needs more food, more than food for the stomach. Man needs food for the spirit. Sai Baba. These workshops are food for the spirit and also practical skills for the mind and the body.
So thank you, Connie. This is a good time for you to get pen and paper if you forgot by chance. And remember, you can share your rose petals in your rose vase with other people. Mother Mary blesses them each time and will be helping you and your loved ones and friends to carry those rose petals in their wallets until next month, when we will see you again on April the 2nd. We may be on daylight savings time. In fact, we will be on daylight savings time. Europe will have changed to daylight savings time the weekend before, and the east coast of Australia, Melbourne and Sydney, will have just changed to daylight savings time on the morning of the 3rd, which is when they'll see us. And so their time change will be 2 hours different from what it is today. Now, a disclaimer, which we always do: this educational inspirational program is protected under free speech, and we never mean to harm or coerce anyone in any way, but only to empower viewers. We're not doctors, and we don't prescribe or cure. We encourage you to seek help from your healthcare practitioners if you need something done, and not expect magic to happen.
Also, I'd just like to mention that most of the people now who are watching this are either health practitioners, alternative practitioners, or researchers. And if you are not that already, it might be that the Lord has something in mind for you that you don't know about yet.
Now, here's another reminder, really, really important. And some people have more trouble than others, but we need to keep our mood up. And surprise, surprise, it's a decision. It's a decision you might have to make every 5 minutes. Sometimes you can make it for most of a day. And don't indulge negativity in yourself. If you notice yourself being negative, do whatever you need to do to banish that negativity. Don't let it stay with you. Get your mood back up. Now, today's program, as Connie said, is very uplifting with a lot of ideas that anyone can use. We always tell you what we're going to cover, and then we teach the material. Then we review it at the end. Most people like to watch our videos at least twice so they can take notes and practice the new skill sets very often before the next program. Now, I want to mention that sometimes things go by pretty fast, and sometimes people say, well, I didn't get that. All you have to do is turn the program back on, scroll the timeline forward till you see the part you want to be able to take notes from, and there you are, and you've got it. So, although each program is a standalone class, they do tend to build in the level of mastery that we're teaching you. So it's a good idea to go back to prior programs that you may have missed or not understood so that you can catch up to the rest of the high vibe energy tribe of gazers and prayer warriors that are your invisible colleagues and students of the Ascended Masters and the Saints, who are helping all the light workers now. Now, since some of the gazing attendees are blind, we'll read the program chart so that they can follow along with us. And by the way, be sure to hold up your photos of loved ones that are in need during the gazing part of the program. That is just as powerful as you being a participant in the program. It's amazing the changes that have happened to people whose photos have been held up, but who haven't been present. If you have anyone in your family or apartment building, neighborhood, or viewing group who's handicapped in any way or in any sort of pain, or who might have dementia or Alzheimer's, please feel free to invite them to come to this live stream program or the next live stream program, anyone, as long as they can sit quietly without disturbing anyone else who's in the room. If children happen to become unruly or noisy during the program, remember you can always watch it again when things calm down on your side of the screen. Now, by the way, Connie wanted me to mention that many people who have been in institutions due to dementia or mental illness, and one who was in an Alzheimer's unit, were all totally healed by God and were sent home within a month of their surrogate healing, surrogate being having their picture held up by someone in gazing. 3 others who were wrongfully arrested and put in jail were released within 24 hours with apologies after their pictures had been held up during gazing. And of course, the Lord has healed well over 45,000 people in the last 11 years, and we stopped counting 3 years ago.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Angels and masters.
Now we'll show you some charts of coming attractions, including 3 Sai Baba devotees who were resurrected,
Other people.
who did resurrect other people, and 3 Sai devotees who were resurrected by Sai Baba, and then 2 Canadian missionaries who've resurrected hundreds of people overseas. So let me see if I can find those charts. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to read them very quickly. The first skill would be skull flick to restore taste and smell capacities. Then 3 ways to restore sleep that have to do with magnesium. The third one is the context and background on resurrection.
And you can move that forward, the chart.
And then we'll have some stories. And Connie will talk about who is resurrectable. And then some 6 crucial recommendations for post-resurrection protocols. We'll talk a little bit about electrolytes, what they are and why you might want to take electrolytes. And then Connie will have some teaching and healing stories, 8 of them in fact. And she recommends that you keep a list of your own stories. So, there we go.
Thank you, Jim. Now we're going to watch the Masters of Light slideshow. After Jim does the induction to gazing, which will take about 3 minutes, and then gazing by both of us will take 5 to 6 minutes before we present the very exciting workshop. So just uncross your arms and legs, and Jim is going to give you specific directions as he always does.
Okay, so we will watch the Masters of Light slideshow now.
Thank you, Jim. I just keep saying this. I love seeing the angels and the masters. It's just so thrilling. It never gets old. Now, Jim wants to tell about a chart that we have to show you. That's a new chart.
Ask of me and get what will save you, not which will bind and control you.
All right. Now, what that means is that sometimes people will write to us or contact us and say, oh, please, please ask God to heal my dying mother. I can't bear to lose her. And we always used to say, yes, we'll pray for you. We'll put you on the prayer list. But now we say, I will ask the Lord, if you will ask the Lord also for your mother, the following things for you, if you resonate with this. And that is, dearest Lord, if you can do anything to help Susie's mother, who seems to be dying of cancer shortly, and if it's in divine order, we would so appreciate that. If it's her time to go, and her expiration date is up, as ours must be, every single one of us, sooner or later, then if you could give her some grace and mercy in the way of stopping her pain or making her more comfortable, we would be so grateful, Lord. If those things are not possible, we ask that you will help Susie and her loved ones to surrender their attachment to their mother's body and personality, and to their own bodies and all the loved ones' bodies, and to realize that this earth training school is temporary, that we eventually all must go back home. So thank you, Lord, for whatever you can do. All right, now it's time for everybody to have their photos ready. And if you have no photos of your loved one, you can write their name down on an index card or a piece of paper. If you have no paper or pen at hand, just think of their name and their face and ask God to bless and heal them, and to have them tell you of any positive changes so that you know something happened. Sometimes healings are instantaneous, usually not. Sometimes they take some hours or days or even weeks, or they're gradual, or they might be healed of something they had forgotten was troubling them and not the thing that you thought was so important. So not everyone is healed every time due to karma, but just keep coming back to attend gazing and you will see results of some sort. And don't forget to pray for yourselves and to give thanks in advance.
So now we'll prepare for gazing. If you're sitting up off the floor like on a couch or a chair, this would be the time to uncross your legs, uncross your ankles, so that the energy will flow smoothly. If you're sitting in a lotus position, that's good too. It's just fine. You don't need to uncross anything. And everyone, would you please place your hands face up, back down on your legs or your thighs, in a comfortable position, in a receptive position with your hands. So we'll just put them down. And now this gazing will apply to your loved ones, to yourselves, and to the people in the photos or slips of paper whose name you've written down or whom you're thinking strongly of. So you can get 3 or 4 intentions in mind for those people or yourself, and they can have to do with anything at all that will improve their lives. Many times people are thinking about health issues. They'd like certain things to go away, or certain good, healthy things to come into their lives. They'd like to be less emotionally troubled or less emotionally sensitive. They'd like better finances. They'd like their job situation to improve, or their relationships with certain family members or bosses or friends to clear up something that's creating a problem. They'd like their selfless service activities to go smoother, or they'd like to be better at their leadership roles. You can think of any of those kinds of things that might help you or your loved ones as far as making them intentions for you or them. Get them very clearly in your mind, and we'll give you a brief time to do that. Most of you already know this, but it bears repeating, and especially for those who might be joining for the first time, and that is you want to close your eyes during gazing. Briefly.
You mean just for a few seconds?
I said briefly.
Oh, okay.
Briefly. And then when you open your eyes and you look at us with a soft, almost unfocused look towards the screen that you're watching this on. And allow your mind to become totally blank. That is, let all the thoughts that you're thinking of drain away so that your mind is empty. We all probably have some experience with this, and we know how pesky our mind is and how it comes right back. So don't let that bother you. Just go back and try to get to empty mind, even if it's 2 or 3 or 4 times during gazing. But do try to get to empty mind. Make an effort to do that. Now, we always precede gazing with a breathing exercise with our consciousness and our spiritual heart center that's right in the center of our chest, kind of at the top of our sternum or the upper part of our sternum, breastbone. We're going to do this 3 times. So let's breathe in deeply, raise your shoulders up towards your ears. Big breath out as you imagine your consciousness dropping down into your spiritual heart center. And at the end of that out breath, you notice how it feels to have your consciousness in your spiritual heart center. Each of you will have an individual, particular feeling when you recognize your consciousness is there in your spiritual heart center. Let's do that one more time. Deep breath in, shoulders up towards your ears. Breathe out, drop your shoulders, consciousness down into your heart center. Notice that feeling. Last time. Breathe in deeply, shoulders up. Big breath out, consciousness down into your heart center. As you drop your shoulders, you notice that feeling of connectedness with your heart center, and you connect with any particular loved ones that you might have in mind. And they may, pardon me, they may actually feel something happening at the time your consciousness reaches your heart center.
Would you like some water?
Not yet, we'll see.
All right, and Jim, excuse me, I have to tell you, both of the clocks were undependable, so we'll have to rely on our watches.
Sure.
No, that's the battery's dead.
So now is a time, if you're going to put your pictures up and hold them up, or if you've got them on cards or poster board or something, this is a good time to hold them up and have them face the screen. And we will begin gazing right now.
Thank you, everyone. And now, come back to consciousness, and next is the workshop.
Now, would you like me to put up the skills and resources chart again?
That would be good, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, no, actually, I'll tell you what. The first skill that I'll be teaching is called Skull Flick, which was taught to us by our friend Paul. And thank you, Paul. And this is going to be a role play, and Jim is going to be the client, and I'll be the practitioner. It's very easy, and we have directions right here for you. So you can try this right away on friends and family to get practice, even if they haven't lost their sense of taste or smell or vision or hearing,
Voice.
as so many people have during the past 2 years. Now, so Skull Flick, then, as we said, restores that. Jim, would you mind putting that up again? Okay, so the client puts, I will mention this, and then I'll demonstrate it. So the client puts their right hand over their heart and feels their heartbeat, and Jim, you're the client. And then they put, and I'll take you through this, and then they put their index finger on the bridge of their nose, their left index finger. All right, if you can do that. If you can't do that and you have to reverse them, that's fine. All right, now you keep your hand on your heart. Can you feel your heartbeat?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. And put your finger up a little more between your, right under the bar of your glasses, if you don't mind. That's good, right there, just lightly. Okay, and now the practitioner goes behind the client, flicks with their fingertip the indentation at the base of the client's skull 3 times. You could repeat it once again after that, and then play with this maybe once a day for a week until you get results. Don't do it too hard. All right then. Now you can take off the directions, Jim. Okay, you can remove the chart if you don't mind. Thank you. And then I'm going to be the practitioner. So this is our little role play. Well, hi, Jim. You told me on the phone that you were having trouble, having lost your sense of taste and smell recently due to the situation that we all know about. And so I'd like to ask you to help me with this. Would you mind just putting your right hand over your heart and telling me that you can feel your heartbeat? And when you can feel it, then just put your left finger on the bridge of your nose so I can see you do that.
Okay, I can feel my heartbeat.
Good. And how about if you just put your, that's good. Now, I know you're balancing and juggling a lot of things.
Oh, that is my left hand, by the way.
Okay.
On the TV, it may be backwards, but
Right.
this is my left hand.
Okay. Now, would you mind very carefully, since you have things on your lap, turn around so that I can see the back of your head? Good. Now, I'm going to feel your skull. So I'm going to start here at the crown and go down till I find a little indentation, a little dent there. And everybody has this dent at the base of their skull. You might have to feel around a bit depending on how much hair the person has or if they have a rather fatty skull. So here I have your indentation, and I am just going to
Use my hand and flick against my hand to demonstrate.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'm going to go flick, flick, flick like that, only on the back of his head. So flick, flick, flick. Thank you. That was a good idea. All right. Now, it may take some time before you experience any change, or it could happen instantaneously. We don't know. There is no set time. If nothing happens for a while, don't be concerned and don't give up, but just practice a lot with different partners, because this is a new skill set that you have. And you can also do your part in the meantime by saying, if you do this once a day for practice, this is God's perfect head and body. And if you do it on yourself, I don't know if anyone's ever tried doing it on themselves. I think the energy of another person reinforces the indentation flick and also the intention. So you can say, quote, this is God's perfect head and body. I am now healed on all levels. You can say that if you're the client. If you're the practitioner, you can say out loud, this is God's perfect head and body of John. I am now healed on all levels, and so is John. All right. Now, Jim, do you have any questions?
No, I'm fine.
All right,
Thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're entirely welcome. It was my pleasure. Now, speaking of the senses, this just reminded me of a famous saying of Sai Baba's, which is, without control of the senses, man is like a horse without a bridle. Without control of the senses, man is like a horse without a bridle.
Running amok.
Right, being wild and not even thinking of himself as wild or out of control, just totally under the thrall of the senses and leading a hypnotic life. All right. Now then, Jim is going to show the chart on 3 ways to better sleep via magnesium. And perhaps we don't have that chart right now. So Jim is...
Just let me check, make sure.
All right. Actually, Jim is just going to show us those 3 props and tell us about it. Okay,
I'm
we
just
can...
going to look and see if I've got it on
All
one
right.
of these 2.
I don't think I think we forgot.
No.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So now we are going to show you 3 of our props, and you can use any brand whatsoever except for one of these seems to work better.
We think one works better.
And that's because of our practitioner telling us, and Jim's going to tell you all about that.
Okay, so I don't know a lot about magnesium, but I can tell you that I've been taking 1/2 teaspoon, and I'm thinking that's a couple milliliters in metric, but I don't know what a 1/2 teaspoon is, of liquid magnesium before going to bed at night. And I've been basically sleeping through the night soundly, except for being an older man. I get up twice during the night to use the facility.
Sometimes you don't, yes.
Sometimes I don't. But the fact is, it has really improved the quality of my sleep. So you can use liquid, or you can use powder, and there are a number of different kinds of powder. This one says glycinate, which means it's a sugar-oriented magnesium, and it's powder. And okay, and then you can spray magnesium on your body, and some people really like to do that. I don't particularly, because it leaves a residue that you have to get off, although it's very fast acting.
Right.
And you can spray it on your legs or on your arms or your chest, or have someone else spray it on your back. And it is wonderful, and I've done that. I just don't particularly like to because of having to get rid of it. Now, this is from the Zechstein C, and it's
In the nether.
Zechstein, Zechstein,
And excuse me,
magnesium oil, and it says it's oil, but
But-
it's really flakes of magnesium, a magnesium compound that comes from the drying of the Zechstein seawater.
right, and if I can just interject something here, I'm sorry. That it says it's an oil spray, but it leaves a chalky residue on your body. I use this a lot and like it, but then I often have to wash it off later, a few hours later, or just take a shower. Now, this is pure magnesium chloride brine from the ancient Zechstein seabed in the Netherlands. We had never heard of it, and our practitioner said, be sure to get this and not any of the ones from Salt Lake in Utah. Now, we do not get any kickbacks or payment or anything like that for mentioning this. And as we said, try out lots of different brands. And these days, some of the distributors might be out of a number of brands, so we all have to be flexible. So we got these from Swanson's distribution in North Dakota, but as we said, if they don't have it or you can't find it, then you just have to be resourceful and find other brands. Maybe your local health food store will have it.
Oh, sure.
Or
They will.
Yes, all right.
They will.
Now, sometimes, as we said, this last spray leaves a chalky residue, but when you put them on your torso, back, arms, legs, or wherever, sometimes you feel immediately a lift and happier and stronger. Or if you're not very sensitive, you might not notice anything, which is just perfectly fine. So, by the way, we are not prescribing, or we're just sharing new ideas with healing practitioners and researchers such as you, and we're sharing our own experiences.
So now Connie has some stories, as I mentioned earlier, that she'd like to talk about. Wonderful stories about resurrections from people, most of whom we know. They were either resurrected or were used by God to resurrect other people.
Resurrections are absolutely sweeping the planet now. Now you remember what Jesus said, these things that I do, you shall also do. And,
So don't
greater.
Yeah, so don't think, oh, this has nothing to do with me, because you never know when it will.
Right. And in fact, I just have to say that in 2010, the Lord arranged for us to be invited to give a talk in Malaysia. And then we heard, after we had agreed to give the talk, it better bring some helpers. I did not understand why we needed to bring 3 or 4 assistants and have a little staffing group, but we did. It turned out when we got to Malaysia, the people said, we don't want to hear your talk. We understand you know how to do something new called matrix energetics, which isn't being taught anymore. But we had just studied that and practiced it with only 22 people. The next week, we got the invitation. We gathered our friends. We went off to Malaysia for 5 days, and the Lord did 750 miracles. I recorded every single one of them that was told to us. He did that in 5 days, and if we had known that he was going to trick us and make us think we were just going to give a talk, we probably would have said, oh no, 750 people in 5 days in 5 venues? No, we're not ready. How about 5 years from now or 10? But that's not the way it works. He gets you right where he wants you, and then you just have to wing it. And you're not doing it anyway. God is doing it. All right,
and
now.
You don't get the credit.
No.
Absolutely, you do not get the credit.
Right, and we're going to say that again shortly in this program. Now, thank you, Jim. And now we're going to show the chart on this, which is context and background on resurrections.
Okay.
So, most of the people that we mention here, we've already met, or we know them, or we have heard of them, and they have been used as vehicles for doing resurrections by God, as Jim said, or they have been the recipients of resurrections to their great surprise.
We didn't know Jesus and the apostles, I admit that.
Well, personally in that way, but our Shukanati reading said that we were his apostles and that he blessed our marriage, or he performed our marriage as a rabbi. And I have loved and known him since I was 3 years old. So he doesn't die. We don't die. There's no death. He's still with us all the time, and he comes to gazing all the time. So let's just kind of take the long view on that, if you don't mind. And I'm not trying to dispute you, just to give everybody a larger picture.
That was a little levity on my part. I guess it didn't go.
It what?
Didn't go.
Oh, yes. And we'll tell that story another time. All right, so we did Skull Flick, and we are now doing the, as we said, context and background on resurrection. So, as you all know, Jesus and the apostles, all of them, now there were hundreds, not just the 12, and there were women apostles too, which have been revealed in many of the Dead Sea Scrolls and many ancient writings and texts that have been hidden from the public, and these are mostly in Israel, in certain secured locations where they are kept in temperature and humidity controlled rooms. Now then, number 3, Satya Sai Baba has resurrected countless people in the 20th and 21st centuries, and also when perhaps when he was Lord Krishna, Lord Rama, Dattatreya, Kabir the poet, Shirdi Sai Baba, and many other famous figures. He has said in public talks that 70, that's 70, of his more famous lifetimes have survived history in records that one can find. Now, 3 of the famous resurrections he has done, which most Sai devotees know about, perhaps, are Dr. Walter Cowan, a businessman from the USA. He was resurrected quite some time ago and had been dead for 3 days in a morgue with a tag on his foot. So when Sai Baba answered the prayers of his wife Elsie, Baba, please, 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 I believe you can resurrect Walter, come, come, come. He would say to her, not yet, not yet, wait a bit. So 1 agonizing day went by, then 2, this was to test her faith, then 3. And she said, you have to come. His body is deteriorating. You have to come. Finally, he said, all right, now is the right time. He's been gone 3 days. So he met her at the morgue. And then he said, Walter, come back. Walter, come back. And Walter came back and sat up. Now, when you're doing resurrections, you have to jump out of the way when you're whispering in their ear, because sometimes the corpses sit up suddenly and you could bump heads. Or if it's in a church and they're in the casket, then lots of times people start screaming because we're unaccustomed to this. So if that happens, just tell everybody, calm down, and now let's give our praise and thanks to the Lord to get them back on focus. All right. Now, the second one was Barosa Adhikari, whom many people call Barosaji or Baroshaji. In Nepali, her name is Barosha, and most English-speaking people pronounce it as Barosa. So she is a healer from Nepal, and she's invited to us to our home a few times, where many miracles happen and manifestations like carnations falling from the ceiling on top of my head and gemstones appearing and things like that. Now, she has to be very careful of her health and has diabetes. And so now she's making limited public appearances, as we understand. But
how long ago was she resurrected, do you think?
She was resurrected in the 1990s. I think it was around 1996, while she was singing devotional songs in Darshan when Sai Baba came out to greet and heal the people. And she died and then was later resurrected. We don't have time to tell the whole long story here right now, but it's a wonderful story, and perhaps we'll tell it again. We did tell about that in our book, Wake Up Laughing, My Miraculous Life with Sai Baba, I believe. Now, the third one was a person named Nalin, who is in another country, and he formerly had been in another lifetime Sri Vivekananda, who was a great and famous Indian teacher, one of the first to come to the United States to teach the great teachings of non-duality or Advaita, that we all live forever with or without the body, and that we have a job to do. Our life purpose is to love and help everybody who is suffering around us, whether you're a librarian or an attorney or a garbage man or illiterate or whatever your role is. That is just your cover for being a lover. That is your cover for being a lover of humanity. All right. Now then, the next one is Heidi and Roland Baker of Canada and Mozambique. They are Christian missionaries who have now resurrected over 400 people. It used to be that Heidi was the only one doing resurrections. And the last time I mentioned her name, I said, Heidi Baker has resurrected 37 people. Well, now Roland is doing it just to show that anyone can do it, although he's quite a
Men are
spiritual.
as good as women.
Oh, well, of course, of course, of course. Anyway, and children in Africa are doing lots of resurrections. Some of these children are 7, 8, and 9 years old. This has been foretold in prophecies, and they are doing it. God's doing it, but they get a locutional message. Go to the house down the block, the door will be open, people will be crying and crying. Go, you will see the woman stretched out on the dining table, and say to her, may we come in? And as the people are crying and praying, you say, may we pray for your beloved mother who has just passed? And people will say, well, yes, of course, son. And then they say, get up now. Get up, Ma, get up. In the name of Jesus Christ. Many of them are Christian Africans. And they say her name, and then she'll sit up and everybody will start screaming and crying, and then praying and laughing, and then singing. All right, now then, the next thing is that I wanted to mention that there is an MD who lives in Mexico, who is a Psi devotee, who resurrected 10 people, including his wife 3 times, and also a murdered baby. How shocking. He told us the entire story, and we'll tell that at length at a future time. Jim, I think there's a second page to this.
No, this is the second page.
Oh, yes, yeah, I was paying attention to something else, sorry. All right, now the Sai Baba lingam photo is a very interesting story, which I will tell quickly, and that is this. You can get it online, and it's a picture of Sai Baba holding up a golden egg-shaped lingam in the shape of the cosmos, which he created. All right. About, well, at least a few decades ago, Mother Mary came to me. She's been coming to me off and on since 1980. But one time, she came and said, beloved heart, this week you are going to receive a package in the mail from London, England. It is from an Indian doctor who lives in London. He is an MD. He is going to tell you the most amazing miracle story, and he's going to include a special photo in his package. Keep the photo. Do not throw it away or toss it aside or put it in a drawer. She said, pay close attention, read this letter several times. You will be astonished. This is going to be a turning point in the lives of many people when they hear about Dr. Durai Singham and his experience. So a week later, a package arrived in the mail from London, and I thought, oh, this is the one Mary told me about. So I ripped it open, and there was this letter, which I read eagerly, from Dr. Durai Singham, saying that he had heard Sai Baba had himself photographed holding up a golden lingam photo. Every Sai devotee and anybody could do well to get several of them, keep one in their pocket, their purse, in their kitchen drawer, in their car, their briefcase, get many of them. And he said that he had gone to Darshan. He ultimately got this photo at one of the booths there in the town where they sell all kinds of devotional articles. He put it in his pocket. Sai Baba came out for Darshan, but before he went into Darshan, he was just about to cross the street, and a van load of Indian people came bumping along the road. They hit a speed bump in front of the ashram. A little 7-year-old boy fell out of this old van, which had no doors on it, and he fell on top of his head. It killed him, and he died. And then Dr. Durai Singham thought, and being a doctor, he rushed over to help, and then he realized, oh, I have the Sai Baba, the new Sai Baba picture in my pocket, which he had just been given moments.
No breath, no pulse.
Right, moments before. There was no breath, there was no pulse. He put the photo on top of the boy's chest and said, Baba, Baba, please resurrect this boy. and hopefully he will have no long-standing consequences. Please wake him up. And the mother was screaming, he's dead, my baby's dead. And all the people in the van, oh, he's dead. Oh, help us, Baba. So he said, shh, shh, wait. And then all of a sudden, the boy sat up and said, where am I? What happened to me? And they explained, well, sweetheart, the van hit a bump, you fell out on your head, and you died, and now you're back with us. Everything's fine. God loves you. God loves all of us. Oh, praise the Lord. Thank you, thank you. Well, you can imagine the most surprised person in that scenario was Dr. Dorai Singham. He just had heard that this photo, everyone who has this photo can resurrect other people because God's doing it, and also you can be healed, and it will be good to pin it to your PJs, pin it to your undershirt during the day, and to carry it in your pocket or pinned on your person.
You
So
can find it online.
right,
Golden Lingam photo.
right, Sai Baba's golden lingam photo, and just print it out, make it the size you want, laminate it so it doesn't get all gritty, and then you'll be all set. Now, especially in these times, with the circumstances we all know about, it's good for every person who hears about this to wear this safety pinned onto their clothing somewhere. All right, now, the next thing is there was a law student woman named Larissa in South Africa who was in a coma. Then she was transferred by ambulance to a different hospital. When she didn't seem to improve, a friend of the parents asked us, what should we do? What should we do? And so we wrote back quickly by email, have a friend take the Sai Baba Golden Lingam photo punched with a safety pin in it, rush it to the hospital, and also put the coma release number on the girl's foot. All right. So this person did that, not realizing that this was the second hospital, and that en route to the second hospital, Larissa had died. So she wasn't in a coma anymore. Her body had died. She'd expired. She'd left the body. But the person who did this favor, carrying the Sai Baba Lingam photo and the coma release situation, reached the hospital in exactly the right time after the ambulance pulled up. She was taken out on the gurney, and the doctors took her pulse and respiration, and they told the parents, well, we're so sorry. There's nothing we can do for your child. She's deceased. And the parents said, oh no. Now, look, we're writing this number on her foot, and there's also a resurrection number, which I can remember to send in our next announcement about the next gazing. This is a Grigori Grabovoi healing number code for resurrection. All right, but they didn't have that, and we didn't know she'd already died, and neither did the friend who brought the code and the photo. Nevertheless, Larissa was lying there, deceased, in the hospital. The doctors were standing around and saying, oh, no. And the parents were saying, they said, who is this? Who is this person in this picture? They said, this is our guru, and he is going to help her. They said, no, you can't do that. She will be a vegetable her whole life. She will not be able to walk or talk or eat solid foods, and she won't be able to swallow, and furthermore, she'll have epilepsy. She'll have seizures. The parents said, we don't want to hear that. Nope, cancel. We're not hearing that. We believe in God. God is going to heal our loved one, and you must just allow us to do this. Well, then Larissa woke up, and they said, see, she's back. Well, they kept trying to say, let her go. They said, no. Why don't we just move her into a room? Why don't we do that? They said she'll never be able to walk or talk or eat solid food. Well, she did. And she's fine. And so sometimes you get messages that you don't want to hear. You have to say, cancel. No, we don't want to hear that. We want to hold fast to our reality. And you have to take your authority back from all the people in society to whom you've given your authority and be the divine being that you are. And
now, I don't want to be a wet blanket, but I do want to say you can't count on what I will call magical thinking. You can't look for magic to solve all of your problems.
right, and here's magical thinking. Well, my spiritual teacher, or Jesus or God, would never allow our city to receive bombing during a war. Or God would never allow my mother to die of cancer. God would never allow anything bad to happen to me. Well, you don't know your karma. He does. And so everything is in divine order right now, all the time. We have to trust that. But if you go around telling people, well, I am a Christian, I'm a Buddhist, I am a Hindu, and so-and-so is my guru, and we have the right path, and our guru or teacher or saint will never allow bad things to happen to us. Please come to your senses, examine that statement. Is it really true? Can you really know that's true? We would love to think that, but we just must not say that. I mean, we can say it to encourage each other, but sometimes it results in shock and disappointment because that's how it's supposed to go. Not everybody is supposed to be resurrected or healed. The final person is our longtime friend of decades, Krishna Kradik in Mudanahalli, South India, whose original name was Louis Kradik when he was an attorney and homeschooled his children and had many other expressions of his many talents. Once he was taking a mentally ill Sai devotee from Puttaparthi, South India to Bangalore, which is a 3-hour drive, in the cab. And then he was told by the ashram officials, please be so kind as to put him on the plane, stand right beside him, tell the flight crew what happened, but they didn't know something else had happened, which was he would be hit by a truck and resurrected. But they said, make sure he's strapped in and tell the crew, don't let him go to the restroom alone. Be with him every moment and just watch him like a hawk. Well, this turned out to be extremely necessary because on the way there in the cab, the man ran out of the cab and he ran suicidally toward an oncoming truck, like a Mack truck in the U.S., only one of those big Leland trucks or some brand. In any event,
they call them a lorries.
Yeah, lorry, right. And it hit him, killed him, knocked him back on his back, knocked his teeth out. There was blood all over his face, all over his shirt, and he was dead. So Krishna bent down and just put his lingam photo, I believe it was, on his chest and said, Baba, please heal this man. Baba, please bring him back to life. Oh, please, please. And he did that for 10 minutes. No sign of anything. This is in the middle of the highway. He did this. Blood everywhere. It was a mess. Sorry to be so graphic, but I just wanted to give you the picture that it was serious. And there was no pulse, no respiration. So finally, the man woke up. Krishna helped him up. His teeth were all over his shirt. And Krishna said, wait, don't move. Carefully, carefully. Your teeth got knocked out. He said, what happened? He said, you got hit by a bus and Sai Baba resurrected you. Don't think about that. We're putting your teeth in your pocket to save them. And we have to go to a shirt store and get you a couple of new shirts. And we have to find a dentist. We still have time to do all this before your flight leaves. Now that's what love looks like. He could have just said, okay, we'll put your teeth in your wallet and we'll just find a washroom and wash the blood off of you and take you to the flight. No. Krishna is so loving, and he does things like this all the time and has for decades that we've known him. He said, how are you feeling? We have to take care of your mouth first. So they ran to find out where's a local dentist. We have an emergency. This man was hit by a truck and his teeth fell out. So the dentist said, yes, I can do an emergency job. He put something like Play-Doh in his mouth, stuck the teeth back in and said, this will hold you for a few days till you get back to the States. Then Krishna said, where can we find a shirt shop? Just down the block, sir. They ran there and said, this man was hit by a truck. Can you give us 2 clean shirts? And the man said, of course, we have a washer in the back. Yes, you can take a shower there and change. And do you like these 2 shirts? They're your size. They look nice on you. Yes, that's fine. Then he put on his fresh new shirt, took the other one. Krishna paid for it. And then he had some temporary new teeth and shirts. And he was resurrected. That, again, is what love looks like. All right. Now, I just wanted to say quickly that Randy Clark, the famous Dr. Randy Clark, who is a healing facilitator and who's a Baptist and has the Randy Clark School of Healing, told a story that once there was a boy named Johnny who had died, and he was right there with him, and Johnny's grandmother was there, and just before Randy could do anything, this grandmother came up and said, "I am Johnny's grandmother. Now, I'll take care of this." So she bent down and shouted into Johnny's ear, "Johnny, this is your grandmother. Do you hear me? You come back in this body right now. I command you. Johnny, this is your grandmother. Now you come back into this body right now. Do you hear?" And he did. So you don't have to know any fancy prayers. You just have to know their name. If you don't know their name, just say, come back now, God, come back now to your body, and just keep saying that. All right. Now then, and as we've said, Satya Sai Baba has done countless resurrections. All right, now we're going to do the chart, show the chart how to resurrect people. All right, so here we are. Okay, how to resurrect people is that you, first of all, hold the person's bare feet. And if they are decked out somewhere on a dining table or in a bedroom, if they're in a foreign country, or something else, then you're just going to have to be flexible. We never know when we're going to come upon someone who has died.
But you're going to need to take their shoes off.
Right. You have to take their shoes off. Sometimes they might have lost a leg or a foot, or they might be diabetic and they had already had a foot amputated or something. So just, if they have 2 feet, hold the bottoms of their feet. So now we are going to do a role play. And I would just suggest that you have a prayer partner, if it's possible in the circumstances. Most of the time you have no idea that God has in mind for you to do a resurrection pretty soon. Okay. And as we said, Heidi and her husband Roland have done 400 resurrections. Normally they don't know when it's going to happen. An airplane from the army will come and people will jump out and say, Mother, Mom, which is what they call her. Come, someone has died. And they drop everything and they jump in the helicopter and fly somewhere in Mozambique, and they need to do resurrections, and God resurrects through them. All right. Now, the how to resurrect. So let's just do the role play. So the 3 things are, if heat comes from a person's foot or energy shoots out of their foot into your hand, either way, that person is a candidate for resurrection. And then after that, you move to their ear and call their name loudly. So you want to find out what the person's name is. And this is how we're going to do this. Okay, so this is our resurrection role play. First of all, as we said, make sure you have a partner. If you have to do it alone, then you just have to wing it like Johnny's grandmother did. So if you're in the US, Canada, or Australia, and some European countries, or New Zealand probably, the body will have been taken to a hospital or a morgue, or maybe a crematorium, in which case this is maybe too late. We don't know. It takes a day to cremate somebody, 8 to 24 hours. So they might still be there. If you're on a highway or a battle zone or a battlefield attending a deceased person, you simply have to jump into action and do the procedure. Now, it would be good if you get a little nudge that I want you to resurrect them. You can't just go going around trying to resurrect every dead person, because it may not be in the plan. All right. So if you're in a hospital, you can do the procedure, and some people are taking their patient home as soon as they can, which might take some imagination and persuasion. Oftentimes the staff might like to study them or observe them. If they come back to life, you can say, "Oh, thank you so much for helping us. Please don't help us anymore. We're taking our loved one home. Thank you. Oh, thank you, God. Thank you for doing this." And then, bye. All right, if you can do that. Now, if you're in Africa, India, or other developing countries, when this resurrection opportunity happens, the body may be laid out on a dining table or a bed or on the floor of the living room or on the front porch, if they have a porch, depending on the situation. Now, the body may have been taken to a church or a school if it's a very tiny hut or a house. So be sure to tell the family that everyone has an assigned date of death. Not immediately. You have to work up to that. And we just don't know when our time is up. Now, sometimes very good and saintly people are returned to the body to finish some type of work or to be witnesses to God's glory, like Walter Cowan. Baba said to him, "You're going to live a short time more to finish your work and to help your wife calm down, and then you're going to go." He lived a year and a half later, and then he left. And it wasn't time to have him resurrected that time. He was gone. All right, so never ever take any credit whatsoever for your tiny part as a servant of God in any healing or resurrection, or your gifts could be taken away. They're not your gifts, they're just on loan to you. So here is the role play, and you would say, God gets all the glory. Don't thank me. God is a doer. I'm just his helper like countless other people like you. Okay, the scene is in Africa, and a mother has just died. And we are there to give a talk, we think. The family is naturally bereft and grief-stricken, and somebody locally sent for us and begged us to come. Now, this hasn't happened yet, and if it doesn't happen, that's fine with me, but if it does, we are there, Lord. Okay, now, don't automatically say to the person, "I don't do resurrections, you know." Just say, "What? You were guided to come and get us? Are you sure? Who told you? How did you hear this? God told you in your ear and heart, you're sure?" Okay, God does the resurrections. And if you forget that we're all supposed to be ready any moment, they might say, people have said this to me before when I said, "Oh, I don't do major healings like that." They have said before we started gazing, "Well, you believe in God, don't you? Just come and try." So we said, "But we've never done this before." So 7 people showed up at a Sai Baba meeting, and they all said they had various problems. And the Lord said, "All of you and your helpers, just put your hands on these people's joints, and I will heal them." And he did. What a shock that was. We were happy to do it. I mean, be a part of it, but we didn't do it. So usually God ambushes us with surprises so that we don't panic. Now then, here's the role play. Now, Jim and I would be prayer partners, and we walk into this house of Sister Jeanette, who's in Africa. And she says, "Oh, thank you for coming, Sister Connie and Brother Jim. Please pray for my late husband, John, that he'll come back. We're Christian people, you know." We say, "Yes, you're most welcome, Sister Jeanette, and we can't give you any guarantees. It's all up to God. God loves all of his people of all faiths, and he's resurrected millions over time. Jeanette, we're so sorry you have to go through this loss of your husband, and we have no words that are adequate at a time like this." Meanwhile, I nod to Jim. Okay, Jim, can you take that down, please? Okay, I nod to Jim while I'm comforting her to go stand at the feet of the deceased and to feel his bare feet. If they're available, he'll know what to do, and remove any shoes or socks very quietly and surreptitiously if his bare feet are not available. Then while I'm talking with her, I will position myself so that she's in front of me and Jim's behind me, so that I can see everything as Jim is doing. And if he nods, "Yes, yes, I'm feeling heat," or I'm feeling a zapper, he's not going to say that to the whole group because everybody's grief-stricken and we're not making any promises or guarantees. So he can pray silently or aloud, depending on the circumstances. But if there's a big crowd of crying people there, it's often better to just slip behind the person, do it quietly so they don't all rush around the deceased and shock the person being resurrected. If Jim or your prayer partner feels warmth or energy, then whoever's being the vessel for resurrection goes to John's head and calls his name for about 10 minutes. Or less. He could just say, "John, come back," and maybe John will pop up and sit up, and then Jim has to jump out of the way so they don't bump heads. All right. Now then, so what do you do? First of all, thank you, Jim. Oh, can we have the other one, please, if that's easy? So you'll hold their bare feet. If heat comes out of a foot or both feet or energy shoots out of a foot into your hand, that means the person's a candidate, and then you call their name. So get their name immediately. All right, now we're going to talk about post-resurrection protocols. Okay, now, Sai Baba arranged for us to meet Barossa Adhikari, and then we became friends, and also to meet this person, Nalin. And Nalin had just been resurrected when we met him in the hallway of our room at the ashram in India. And Nalin's mother, someone ran up and said, "Oh, this is Connie Shaw and Jim Wright." And his mother, standing beside her very tall young son, who must have been about 20 years old, said, "Oh, how do you do? I'm so happy to meet you. Forgive me for not offering hospitality. Normally we would invite you in for tea. But you see, my son has just been resurrected by Sai Baba." And Baba was very strict with us. He said, there are some post-resurrection protocols which you must observe. And if you don't observe these, he could die again and not come out. Not come back, because when a person dies, it's a great shock to all of their bodies, physical body, mental body, emotional body, causal body. So number one, Baba told us, ensure that the resurrected person lies in a darkened room for 10 days, not 3 days and saying, "Oh, I'm fine," and getting up and carrying on. No, it must be 10 days while all the other auric bodies settle into the physical. Number two, no TV. No TV. He says television is telepoison, but no TV, no phones, no checking emails, no news, no radio, except just soft music or silence for 10 days. This is very important. Number three, no visitors from outside the household, not even Aunt Martha or Uncle George. No visitors outside the house for 10 days, because everybody's going to be pushing on the extended family. "Oh, find out what happened. Tell us every detail." And all that clutching, grabbing, curiosity energy is very disrupted. It hits the resurrected person with great force, and it could kill them again. All right, then. No solid food for 10 days. That means no solid food. They have to take only liquid intake, water, weak tea, or vegetable broth for 10 days. That's it. Don't try to force food on them thinking that, "Oh, you haven't eaten in so long, my poor darling." No, that could be disastrous for them. They'll be fine with a liquid diet. Also, if they're in such a delicate condition, as we said, to re-emphasize it, if you do not follow all of these strictly, then you wouldn't want to be responsible for them leaving the body right in front of you and never returning. All right. Now then, okay, there's one thing I would like to say, that we all need electrolytes now. So let's put up the chart again. Thank you. So why? What are electrolytes? They're essential minerals for health and vitality. Among them are potassium, salt, calcium, magnesium, and zinc. Everybody needs essential minerals, and practically everybody is depleted of them, and this can cause great illness. You can shake them in water and take them. I thought we had a little, oh yes, Jim is going to show you this jar of electrolytes. Any brand will do, but check the electrolytes and also magnesium to make sure they don't have aspartame or any sugars, because a lot of people are diabetic these days, and you don't want to take something that would be better for you in a different brand.
Let me talk.
Okay, so yes, Jim's going to tell you about the electrolytes, and I'm sorry, I took your part.
No, that's not what I meant. We don't have anything written here about Pedialyte, which is, it comes in various forms, and it's used typically for babies who need electrolytes. And sometimes people take Pedialyte when they're in a situation where they need electrolytes. Um, a lot of times when you've been sick and you've been losing fluid from either your mouth or the other end of your body, you really need to get more water back in, and with the water you need electrolytes. Now, you can drink a lot of water and the water may not be absorbed by your body properly, and electrolytes will help do that. Most of the electrolytes are being used these days by people who are involved in sports, and they take them before or after they go for exercise, and they don't contain sugar as an addition. The electrolytes in Pedialyte may in fact contain some extra sugar.
Thank you, Jim. I didn't know you were going to add that, and that's very helpful. I appreciate that. Thank you. Now, as I was saying, everybody needs electrolytes now, especially those who receive any type of healing, including gazing. Now, if you receive any kind of procedure, or give blood, or give urine, or do any kind of procedure with your doctor or your health practitioner, such as a massage or therapeutic touch, if you give it or receive it, or Reiki, any of the modalities that we teach you, if you practice on people, you need electrolytes, and so do your clients. We just learned this recently. And most bodies get very depleted these days because people's clients are so stressed and sick that the practitioners take on those negative energies and may get sick themselves. So we just learned this. Now, some years ago, people, when they would come to gazing, would bring a candy bar or some kind of a snack, because their blood sugar would drop very suddenly, since they're being shifted massively by the masters, even though they may not know that. And the masters have X-ray vision, and they can see right through your clothing, your blood, bones, organs, and glands, and that's how they know what to do with you. So it's imperative. Please find some electrolytes. And we're not prescribing, we're just suggesting what we have found works. And healers, test your clients for familiar spirits and demonic entities or attachments. Now then, I would just want to say too that nearly all clients these days have entity attachments or demonic spirits. Once I was in a class of 30 healing practitioners, and the teacher said, since I'm clairvoyant, I can see that out of the 30 of you, 28 of you have demonic attachments you've picked up from your clients. And she said 2 people don't. Now, this was quite some time ago. And she pointed to me and she said, you, Connie, don't. And you, Mariella, don't as well. Everybody else does. Well, we had not gotten into gazing then, and I had not done a great deal of healing work. So at the lunch break, I just thought, no, I don't want them jumping on me, so I'm leaving. So I left the class. But now, since we've been doing gazing, many times, demonic entities have jumped off of people, and they have never come back. And the people have reported that Jesus and Sai Baba pulled them off and sent them into the light. All right. And the reason people have so many of these entities is they don't want to release them, because the entities prompt them to use alcohol, drugs, food, sugar, vaping, smoking, violent films, or to do self-harming. And they don't want to give up those addictions, and so they harbor the entity, thinking of it as their friend. That is not your friend. You don't need any hitchhikers. So you healers can tell your clients to drink electrolyte minerals when they get home, and you can take yours as soon as they leave. Also, be sure to take a shower if you can after each client. If you can't do that, that's really important these days. And if you don't have a shower at hand in your office or clinic or your home office, take a quick sponge bath of your arms and legs after they leave. If you work with clients over the phone, schedule enough time between each client or two for a quick shower. Now, if you have to take 2 or 3 quick showers a day, you'll be happier for it. Entities can come through the phone and through the television. If you're on water restrictions in your area, or you're in a foreign country, or a cabin or a tent, and you don't have the luxury of a shower, then meditate and take an internal shower after each client and ask God to remove any residue or thought forms from having worked with that client. Now then, we have done our teaching and healing stories, and we have, Jim, could you show that first one again of all the things we said we were going to do? If you can't, no, don't worry about that. Okay.
I'm sure I can.
In any event, we did do everything that we said that we would do. And so we did the skull flick, the 3 ways to restore sleep with magnesium in different forms, and also we told stories about Jesus and Dr. Walter Cowan, Mrs. Barossa Adhikari, Vivekananda in his latest incarnation, and Krishna Kradik, Larissa, and Dr. Dorai Singham, and Johnny's grandmother. Weren't those wonderful stories? I just love to think about them and tell them, which we seldom do. In fact, you're the first audience that has ever heard about all of them together. Then we talked about who is resurrectable. And then we did our role play on how to do a resurrection. And then post-resurrection protocols, the 6 vital recommendations, why to take electrolytes. And we suggest that you keep your own journal or list of your own healing stories so that you can share with other people. Now we would like to make 2 quick book recommendations, and they are these. One is this wonderful new book by David Cornsweet, which you can find on Amazon. This is how it looks, and it's the Song of the Free Soul, the Avadhuta Gita, the words attributed to Lord Dattatreya, the boy guru, who was one of Sai Baba's prior incarnations, among many other famous ones. The English transliteration by David Crossweller of the UK is available, as we said, on Amazon and probably from bookstores. Also, his family, David and his family, are doing a magnificent service project of building restrooms, or toilets, as they say in Europe, for people in India and elsewhere who don't have access to them. Do you realize that 4 billion people of the world's population, that's billion, do not have access to running water or sinks or indoor plumbing, baths and showers, and most importantly, toilets, which is most important for women and girls in particular, since they're often attacked by men when they answer nature's call in the fields and forests. And boys and men are also sometimes attacked by men when they are answering nature's call. Half the people of the world bathe in muddy pools and ponds and rivers or the ocean. We must do something about this. If David will see, if he sees this program and gives us his permission to include his email in the next reminder for the April program, the first Saturday in April, April 2nd, 2022, we'll send it out so that you can help him in this splendid service project. I don't want to inundate him with hundreds of emails saying, oh, tell me, where do I send my check to help you? So we don't want to overwhelm you, David. And thank you, David, for all the loving things that you do and have done over these decades. Another book that's very revealing is called Journey of Souls. Journey of Souls. Case studies of life between lives by Michael Newton, PhD. This book sold over 600,000 copies, and the sequel is also available on Amazon and through bookstores and libraries. Now then, by the way, everyone, please don't bombard us with emails about your wonderful service projects, hoping that we'll mention you and them in our programs. The only reason that I mentioned Krishna Kradik in India, Barosa Adhikari from Nepal, our friend Paul from Wyoming, who taught us about skull flick, and David Crossweller from the UK, is that I was guided by Spirit to do so, and we have known them each for decades. Now we've finished reviewing our program, and we thank you, Lord, and Masters and the angelic host, for helping us once again. And by the way, the Lord has, according to other people who write to us, bilocated Jim and me to countless countries, usually when we're sleeping, to heal people of acute illnesses and injuries. They think it's us in our material form, and they thank us profusely, and we say, we're sorry, but we have no recollection of that. The only one I remember vividly was it took place somewhere else.
No volition, no ego involved.
No, not at all. He's bilocating you all the time, too, when you're asleep.
Your greatest work happens when you're asleep.
Right, right. So, as I was saying, usually when we're asleep, he bilocates us to heal people of injuries or acute illnesses, or takes us to help people in Red Cross refugee camps or things like that. And we seldom remember them. So maybe that's because since we work hard all day, sometimes up to 50 or 60 hours a week on all of our many work projects, and we work all through the night bilocating in our sleep, as you are doing, we would probably prefer to believe that we're just lying blissfully in bed all night, getting a deep night's sleep. In any event, God is doing the healing, not ourselves, and he's just using all of us, including you, as step-down transformers for his energies. We thank him and the Master Saints and Angels again for all the miracles, blessings, and healings from today and over the past 11 years that we've all been blessed by God to experience this exciting work of transmitting his everlasting love to you. You are love itself. You are divine. We are divine. All beings are divine, including animals, although most don't know it yet, but soon they will, eventually. In the meantime, let's pray that we all remember who we truly are, and that we say, I'm a lover of humanity, not a fighter, and that we make daily amends in our daily prayers and meditations for all the people we've hurt in any way, and before gazing each time, let us resolve to become closer to God within us each and every day. So since we love you, and the Lord and saints and masters love you, love yourselves, forgive yourselves, be willing to step up and be used as his vessels for miracles. That's why we yearned and burned to be here now. And we got to come. This is the time of miracles, as Jesus said would be happening. It's here. We are they. And it's happening all over the planet. You just haven't heard about it in the 6 o'clock news. God may richly bless you and thank you. May God richly bless you and thank you. No, we thank God and we ask that he helps you and blesses you richly. I'm a bit tired now. We say farewell until the next time. And now you can start your meditation. Say 3 ohms or however you meditate first. Be sure to jot down notes right now regarding what you notice that the Masters of Light and the Lord have done to you during gazing and during this program. They're there the whole time. Sometimes they come the day before or even several hours to your house before. And they're doing this simultaneously, bilocating to thousands of people all over the world at the same time. All right, they're not limited. And thanks also in advance for sending those reports to your gazing coordinators. And a word of thanks to all the selfless gazing coordinators who do such loving and efficient work. If you would like to be a gazing coordinator for a group that you invite to gazing at your home or a venue, just email us at info@ConnieShaw. Let us know they're there and what your gazing coordinator email address is so that we can keep you apprised of upcoming programs. Now, that service project is of being a quantum gazing coordinator means that you agree that within 48 hours of seeing our latest program that you'll contact your group you'll contact your group immediately and invite them to type up and email you their miracles within 48
blessings.
healings and blessings within 48 hours, and then you have another 24 hours to get them to us. So, and ask them to either allow their names to be used or to put down anonymous in their report or have a pen name or an alias. Then we'll include your gazing report in the list of compiled gazing reports month to month. And no, we cannot send you, if you're new to gazing, we can't send you any of the former gazing reports, but if you follow the instructions we just mentioned, you can be on the list to get them in the future. Now, we would hope you'd give a 1-year commitment to the service project for free gazing so that we can count on you instead of bouncing in and out. If the internet should go down for a long time, live stream gazing would stop naturally. And naturally, no one is authorized to charge any money or anything whatsoever, or dues or registrations from quantum gazing, either in person or online, since it's always free of charge as a selfless service. Now, this is some tough love. You might be shocked, but here it is. And this is why it turns out that Master Confucius and Saint Jerome are working with me constantly to help me be more diplomatic and tactful. But I have to tell you, if you do try to charge for gazing or try to exploit this selfless service project in any way, or to monetize it, or try anything like that, God always tells us what's happening. And you will be dropped from our list and exposed to my wrath, which is not a pleasant experience. You would not believe the sneaky things that people try to do to gain personal access to us. The fact that you might decide to become a gazing coordinator does not entitle you to extra access to us or to our phone number, nor does it guarantee that you will receive other non-gazing emails or phone calls or private healings. We don't do private healings. We're dealing with thousands of people. Or to any other interactions and services. We're still very, very busy, working many, many hours a week, and we have no time for personal correspondence. We don't answer the reports, but we will sometimes answer the gazing coordinators and thank all of the people in their group for their contributions. Now, I know that some people will consider this to be harsh, but it's just best to say it periodically so you don't develop unrealistic expectations that we're going to be best friends with you or you're on tap psychic to contact anytime you want. No, this is for you to develop these things too. And the fact that you've read a few of our books or attended gazing a few times does not mean that we're going to have a personal relationship with your family. I'm so sorry, it's not possible. And that doesn't obligate us to you, but we all have the opportunity and obligation to help our fellow humans, especially at this time in the world. Again, thank you for coming and participating. And you are unstoppable light workers. We do love you. That was just a tough love talk. And now, namaste and farewell until April 2nd, 2022. Now, you may begin to do your meditation.